Hi everyone, I'm Max Bowder. This is Council Corner, where twice a week we try to interview a mayor of council on their latest agenda items and anything else interesting going on. Today I have the pleasure of being with Trevor Bolin. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, Max. How are you?
I'm doing very good. Of all the councillors I've been wanting to get to interview lately, I'm glad you're up next because you have brought up some interesting things in the agenda lately that I'm eager to talk about with you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, something that wasn't passed in council during the last regular meeting, but you've made a request for new business in banning soft side camping. This was something you brought up like late last year, and yeah, you said it's going to be coming forward in the next couple of meetings. Is that right?
Yeah, you know what? I'm in hopes. I mean, we've been working with our legal team to ensure that we meet the province's mandates, to ensure that we meet the different objectives that we hit last fall. So I'm positive we'll see it in the next couple meetings, and I'm excited because, you know, we've heard loud and clear from the community that this is a major concern. I think that, you know, anybody who's walking in the downtown area or walking by some of the current you know, tenting areas certainly have safety concerns and safety issues. So again, it's council's hearing from the public, engaging with them, whether it's on social media or, you know, in our chambers, in our meetings, or email, and taking the necessary steps to ensure that we move forward.
Yep, homelessness is a bit of a controversial issue. Have you gotten any pushback because of it?
We did last fall. It was a few interviews on Moose FM and some of the programs that you do from outside sources. It was groups down south that advocate for tent areas and rental areas, and you know, and as recent as the last meeting, I had made the recommendation that we form a committee. The proposal would include Councillor McDougall and myself currently, and that committee would be for researching and providing objectives and solutions around housing and homelessness. So I think that between the bylaw that we're waiting for, the notice of new motion, all of it's going to come together. You know, of course, we wished it was faster and sooner, but that's not the way government works. So I think with this new committee, it can become a little bit quicker, and I look forward to that happening.
Yeah, and why do you choose Councillor McDougall for this two-person committee?
So Councillor McDougall has vast experience in the science side of health, as well as the inspection side of health. So Councillor Clausen has also reached out that he's quite interested in it with his provincial side of UBCM, etc. So you know what, it was a matter of finding kind of what missing pieces could be met through council, and from there we'll reach out and work with staff and work with stakeholders and industry to be able to come up with some good solutions.
Yep. What do you feel like are the main principles that need to go into addressing homelessness?
Well, honestly, you know, I mean, we look at the provincial legislature, and it was easy for me to just say, you know what, ban soft-sided camping. I mean, we should have done that a long time ago, but nobody had the foresight of that, you know, back then. You know, the province rolled out and said, you know, you have to be able to provide somewhere for them to go. You know, I've had somebody reach out to me through Facebook who's looked a lot of the bylaws in the U.S., which states that the tenting areas have to be free and clear by 7 a.m. You know, so there's a lot of different things, and you know, it's Facebook. So everybody says, well, you know what? There's a city here and there's a city there, and they've combated, they've dealt with it. We need to research that, right? Because it's easy to say that, you know, people have dealt with it. Have they? How have they? Is it outside of BC? Does it fall under the community charter? A lot of unanswered questions that honestly staff don't have the time to get those answers. So it falls on council. We're responsible to our residents, our neighbors, our friends, and our family. We need to have the answers, so we're going to get those answers.
Sounds good. Hope you can definitely handle this solution better than California does.
Hopefully.
Okay, so the most recent bylaw that's been passed by council was the various fees and charges for community services. So what was that bylaw about?
So, I mean, every 5 years we look at our user fees in the vast amount of buildings, which does include the pool, because Fort St. John, although we do not own the pool, we do operate it. We are the management and the operations team of the pool. So their day-to-day operations. So every 5 years we look at, you know what is fair and equitable. We subsidize, and when I say we, I'm talking the taxpayers, not the city.
Right.
We subsidize those pools a huge amount. The pools, the rec centers, everything. The festival plaza is subsidized by taxpayers. So we need to, as a council, come up with fair and equitable rates that won't turn people away, but that will help to break down that subsidy. So, you know, at a month or two ago, we had a presentation look at different options that we could go for rates. You know, council had expressed to the consultant at that point in time that it made sense to go with that, you know, that steeper climb. We absolutely heard back from users. We heard back from the community, whether it was you know, hockey, whether it was skating, whether it was the pool. We heard back that climb was concerning. It was too high. I think if those folks that were shocked or were concerned had a look at this current increase, I feel that they would find it very fair and equitable, and in line with what the consultant's recommendations would have been.
Makes sense. I did write a story about that and went through the report, seeing there were like some increases, like of like $1 here, $2 there, and stuff like that. Do you feel like that will have like a minimal effect when it comes to the taxpayers and you know, carrying out those functions?
You know what, Max? My honest opinion, my personal opinion, I don't think it'll have an effect either way. I don't think it's going to bring down the subsidies, and I don't think it'll hurt the user group. So it is status quo. It is moving forward. We will continue to subsidize these facilities so that people can enjoy living in our community, and I think that's number one. And you know, those $1 increases or $2 increases, that shows a commitment from council, from the city, that we're committed to people's health, recreation, and just basically having a good time.
Fair enough. So you mentioned the pool a little bit earlier, and lately the PRRD, which you're on the board of, has been doing some more committees regarding the pool. There have been a lot of pushback on it, saying, you know, it's become too expensive and stuff like that. And you made a recommendation at the last committee meeting yesterday. Can you go into detail about that one?
So yeah, I can. So I'm not actually on the RD board. I am though the chair of the advisory committee, and I'm the chair of the existing pool commission. So so old pool is pool commission, new pool is advisory committee, which is a function of the RD. So you aren't wrong, Max.
Okay.
I just like to clarify.
Yeah.
So yesterday during a meeting, there was a recommendation that was made that the advisory committee recommend to the regional district board that we hire a consultant to look at the option of refurbishing the existing pool. I spoke against that, and I did. I basically made the comment that going that route is not inside the terms of reference that this advisory committee operates under. So to give you a little bit of background, the advisory committee was formed by Fort St. John, Taylor, Area B, Area C of the regional district, and our prospective staff. And it was to look at all options. So back in 2018 when this started, we looked at refurbishing the existing pool. We looked at building a new pool on the existing pool. Neither of those options were feasible, and that's when the advisory committee made the recommendation that we look at building a new facility. Somewhere between 2018 and where we are today, that certainly grew legs and ran, and it became kind of the monster that it is. And we did hear back from people that, yes, we want a new pool. Yes, we want some amenities. No, we do not want our taxes to go up a large amount of money. So the advisory committee's job is to find the balance in that. So we've got the public feedback. To go back and start all over again is why I said we might as well disband the advisory committee and pull out of the terms of reference, is because we already did that, and it's not feasible. When that pool was built, our population was a lot less. Our services were a lot less. There was issues with the actual pool itself. So you know, the structure of that building is sound. There's nothing wrong with the bolts of that. I shouldn't say bolts because there's issues with the bolts, but with the actual foundation and structure and framing and roofing. Wherein lies the problem is that ceases to be a functioning pool in a very short amount of time. And I made that comment yesterday as well. Because at what point in time do you stop spending millions and millions of dollars on repairs and upkeep when you can buy a new one? I guess it's the saga between an old truck and a new truck. You know, how many repairs are you going to do before it becomes more feasible just to make that monthly payment on a new truck?
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you feel like there's going to be an optimistic outcome to
I do. You know what? I think that after that meeting, I think that we came back to that after a closed, and that actually got deferred because right now we're looking at opportunities as per the community asking us to look at sponsorships, partnerships, all those different things. So we wouldn't be doing our jobs as the advisory committee if we weren't listening and going that route, which is what we're going to do currently.
Okay, sounds good. So, moving to another area of the July 8th agenda is that there was a request made to extend the icing along the Fort St. John Skating Club. Mm-hmm. That report was received for information, correct?
Well, there was I had made the recommendation that we do respond. You know what? We love our clubs. We love our user clubs. We understand the importance of them in the community. We understand the importance of them for our kids. We had just had a report that actually Councillor Queer under a notice of new business, I believe earlier in the year, had asked for a report on extending ice time for hockey at that point in time. And when the details all came back and the information that came back, council then has to again balance to that subsidy in order to open that longer versus what the actual benefit of that would be and what would it affect on the other side to non-ice users. So it came back and we issued the fact that council made the recommendation that it was not able to do that at that time. So my recommendation to the skating club was that we send them a letter with the same information that we had for Councillor Queer's request on hockey, and that will go out this week. It's not a no, it's just it's not at this time, and you know we're already so deep into looking at expanding a lot of the services we provide, but we also hear from the taxpayers we don't want to pay more taxes. So balance.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So if it's not now, but when is that? When gonna be?
It's hard to say. I mean, right now we've just let them know that this is the reasons why we turned it down for hockey, and we've had this request before. I've sat in one of those 3 chairs, well, one of those 6 chairs, for 16 years. So you know we've certainly had this. It comes up again and again, and we'll play it by ear, and we'll play it by pocketbook because if we've got extra money that we can commit to that, we can do that.
Sounds good. So. Yeah, there's been a lot of sidewalk work being done in terms of concrete paving. I just wanted to know what considerations council takes into deciding what projects go forward within budget.
It's a good question, Max. You know what? Years ago, we committed $1 million every year to do overlays, and there was money involved for sidewalks and all these different things. And you know what? We ran with that for so long, and we would tote that we're spending $1 million on this and $1 million on that, and in the last election, one of the biggest comments from people was, "You're not doing enough, right? We get you're doing something, but you're not doing enough." So, you know, this council through its senior management team in the budget, we dedicated more money. We dedicated more money to overlays, more money to potholes, more money to sidewalks. You've seen in the recent ones more cut downs for wheelchair accessible access as well as strollers. Going forward, you know what? We had a one, I don't know what it was about 3 years ago, 84th Street, between 100th Ave and about 93rd. You know, we had a resident reach out who's lived in that neighborhood his entire life, and there was no sidewalks, there was no street lights, you know, and he'd reached out on social media saying, you know, I feel that my grandkids are in danger just walking to school. Something needs to be done. You know, the senior management found capital money, council passed the resolution, and before you knew it, a 2-phase over 2 years was done. 84th Street got brand new sidewalks, they got brand new streetlights. Kids are walking safely to and from school, to and from the daycare, because the daycare is right behind Robert Ogilvie there. So it's a fine act of figuring out the worst roads, but at the same time, it's going, okay, you know what, underground services are sometimes and oftentimes more important. So when we need to do a complete redo to protect the integrity of people's sewer and water and storm and the safety, that becomes, you know, our main priority. And from there, it's how do we make that work in the budget?
Yeah, you said like to ensure kids' safety.
Absolutely.
exactly are the dangers that?
Well, I mean, no sidewalks, kids walking on the street. People in Fort St. John tend to be in a hurry to go places. And I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying there's a large amount of people that speed. When we did some average speeds on streets like 86th Street going down by the Best Western, those average speeds were around 76 kilometers an hour. That speed zone is 50 plus a crosswalk there. Main Street was in the high 60s. Residential streets, people need to slow down. But in the meantime, as we need to ensure that we can't force them to do that, they need to follow the laws and follow the safety, and knowing that, hey, you know what, would they want somebody driving by their house that fast? So in the meantime, we're ensuring sidewalks, crosswalks, street lights, and not only kids. I mean, I use kids because the 84th is a big area for the schools and stuff. But even 100th Street, you look at the sidewalks. I mean, one of the main concerns we had on the old design of 100th Street was wheelchairs, strollers. Families with young kids, they didn't want to walk. They couldn't walk. One misstep, somebody goes by you on that 4-lane, and it is scary, and it is bad news. So you know what? Part of that rebuild, besides, like I said, the integrity of the water, the sewer, and the storm, was safety, and safety is a major factor.
Obviously, that does show a good way of how to use services to keep kids safe. So
absolutely,
yeah, amazing. All right, last thing I have on here. New topic from UBCM, the Canada Community Building Fund Agreement was brought up again. You mind telling us a bit about that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the biggest showcase of this is the fact that British Columbian municipalities, and Councillor Clausen is on the UBCM board, and we've supported him for years on that. British Columbia UBCM stepped out through its member municipalities to ensure that it was one of the first few that was in line for this grant funding. So, you know what, I think the fact that Fort St. John is a part of that, I think is huge. I think the work that Councillor Clausen does on that for us is fundamental, and it's going to continue to be fundamental. These funds can be used to build community, which, if we look back at the past even decade or decade and a half, and the different amounts of grants and funding we've used in order to put in walking trails and enhancements in parks, and like we talked about with safety features. This is one way we're going to be able to use those funds, which are federal but submitted through the UBCM, in order to continue to build Fort St. John. Fort St. John is a beautiful city. You know what? We've come a long way. I drove up Main Street the other day. It was evening. The lights on the benches and the trees were all up. The flowers we've got on Main Street, I don't think you'd find those in any other community, in our own baskets that are cared for. Let's continue to grow Fort St. John. Let's continue to make it so people desire to not only stay living here, but move here. And you know what? That brings doctors, that brings engineers, that brings families. And ensuring we've got a team inside our staff that are able to go after the grants that are provided is less money the taxpayers have to pay to live in a better city.
Obviously, and I've been living here for about 7 months now. I can honestly say this town has been great for me. It does have a good small town feel, but yes, very has a lot of potential for growing. So that's great. How you mentioning the funds? What do you know? What the exact dollar amounts are?
At this time, I don't. I don't think we've actually allocated an exact dollar amount to Fort St. John. But I can certainly find out for you, Max, and we can follow up with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, is there anything else you would like us to go over before we sign off? No,
I think, you know what, people, I'm hoping that they continue watching us. I mean, this is a huge opportunity that Council has, teaming up with you guys to bring this to the folks of Fort St. John. So continue to watch, continue to stay engaged, and continue to reach out to your council, because like we've talked about, that's how changes get made, and that's how information is shared.
Exactly. We always hope to get the people more informed. Obviously, a more informed population can make better decisions.
True.
If we would obviously even want the residents to know if there's any questions we would want to ask you. Hopefully, the difficult questions might not throw any councillors off guard.
Ask us anything you want, Max.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Mr. Bolin. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully, we do this again sometime when we go around again.
We will. Thanks.
All right, have a great day.
You too.
Once again, I'm Max. This is Council Corner. Thank you, and have a nice day.